slurping is not a good manner. I mean, this is a bad manner. But in Japan, it is sometimes, I mean, it is considered to be well, I shouldn't say okay, but maybe, well, it's acceptable. And sometimes someone who slurps noodle is considered to be true Tokyo person. We call it edoko. We have a reason. In Japan, about 900 years ago, during Edo period, slurping noodles became a trend between people living there, because they thought slurping will let you enjoy both the taste and the scent, and at the same time taste and at the same time noodles and soup together. So there's a reason. But anyways, this is considered to be okay in Japan. I think this is a very, very weird thing. As a female, I don't slurp, but yeah, this is considered to be okay in Japan. So today our wonderful speakers from JETAA and MEXT Alumni will talk about these wonderful, mysterious Japanese unspoken. You'll share their experience and stories, the oh my god moment, no way moment, and what else? Aha moment, and why is that moment? And our Japanese staff will also explain what we felt in New Zealand, so that we can understand each other's culture. We hope to help you feel informed, reassured, and excited before you go. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's get started. I'll ask each speaker to briefly introduce themselves, so your name, background, and where in Japan you lived or studied.
Hi, so my name is Andreas. What was the other one? Sorry.
Name, background.
Background. Okay, so I'm an accountant. I was in Kagoshima in Kyushu from 2013 until 2018. Yeah. I think that was all there was.
Yes, perfect.
Excellent.
Okay. Konbanwa, kia ora. My name is Michael. I am a JET alumni. So I went on the JET program from 2011 to 2013, and I lived in Hokkaido in a city called Ota.
Hi everybody, I'm Zoe. I was on the MEXT scholarship from August 2024 to September of this year, and yeah, I lived in Kobe, and currently I am a student at Victoria University. That's a bit about me.
Is there anyone who has difficulty in hearing?
Yes.
This mic doesn't work, I think.
Should we use this one here?
Didn't hear a single thing she said.
I can do that again.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't. Maybe closer.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Hi everybody, I'm Zoe. I'm from Wellington, and I'm a student at Victoria University, and I was on the MEXT scholarship from August 2024 to September of this year, and I lived in Kobe, and I had a really, really good time.
What scholarship?
Oh, the MEXT scholarship? Ministry, yeah.
That's a scholarship that Japanese government provides, Ministry of Education scholarship.
Kia ora. I'm Jay. I'm from Wellington. I was doing a Bachelor's of Science before I went to Tokyo with the MEXT scholarship from mid-2022 to mid-2023, where I studied Japanese language. Thank you.
Is everybody alright if I just go without the mic? That way you guys can. Perfect. Thank you very much. It seems like we have a wide range of experience here. So, for this evening, we'll move through 3 everyday scenes, spending about 10 minutes on each, and after that, we'll open the floor to questions. So, to get us going, let's talk about trains, which is something most people encounter within their first hour in Japan. Okay. Discussion.
Do you have anything to say about trains?
I don't have anything to say about trains. I think
Let's just read
anyone.
the slide first. Oh, yes.
We have an episode about women-only cars.
Oh, yeah.
I have a lot of different episodes
Yeah.
about. Yeah. Should I read the journal?
You don't have to. They can see it.
True. Well, I guess anyone who's been to Japan will have a lot to say about trains, particularly rush hour.
Rush hour?
Rush hour trains.
Very busy.
I think it was my first week in Japan, and I hadn't quite, I'd studied Japanese language for quite a while. But it takes when you're stressed and you're running late to get to school, you sometimes don't read all the signs, and you see the train carriage at the very end that looks completely empty compared to every other carriage that is absolutely jam-packed. So what do? You jump right onto that one at the end, but it's a pink colour, and you go, okay, cool. But it's weird getting into a train carriage and realising that you are the only guy out of 30 people on the carriage. And then you look to your left and you go, there's a lady with a pram. Look to your right, there's an elderly lady. You're kind of scanning around. And then I saw the little English subtext under the big characters. And it said, women's only carriage. So I got off the train at the very next stop. Because, after your first week in Japan, you realise, okay, the pink means the women's only carriage. But there's lots of different colours of train lines in Japan. There's blue, there's green, there's red, and they all go on very similar lines. I just thought it was another train line. I never made that mistake again, gotta say.
Yeah, I think that is a mistake that some of my male friends made as well. And yeah, I would see it as well sometimes. I'd be on those carriages and then a guy would walk in and then be like, oh my gosh, I'm on the wrong thing, and sort of freak out. But one thing that I realized after being on trains a couple times is that there are sliding doors that you can open between the carriages, and you can if one carriage is too full and you want to go to the next one, you can just open it and walk through, and it's not a problem. And you can do that with the women's carriages as well. So I think a lot of people's first thought is they panic and they go, oh my gosh, I have to get off of the train. I have to I can't. Oh my gosh. But you can just if that ever happens to you, you can just calm down, and then just you can open the door and go through the next carriage. And I think that's kind of my
When
my tip.
it's moving,
Yes, you can even they're just sliding glass doors, and you can just pull them open and walk through, and then close it behind you, and it's it's not an issue.
Yeah, no need to panic and just get off.
No, I would recommend a little bit of a,
Yeah.
everyone knows that you made a mistake. You did it on purpose.
Yeah, and it's only for the rush hour, I think.
It was only for the rush
Yeah,
hour.
yeah.
Unfortunately, you were also Russian.
I was also rushing. Surprised.
I guess, let's see, if I was going to emphasize, anything that was on the slide there, Japanese trains are very quiet. Everybody is very quiet on the train, and there's obviously the rule around no phone calls, but also just talking loudly will get some looks coming your way as well. So I think it's just something to be quite mindful, being mindful of the others that are on the train. And then there's also, I guess, in terms of being conscious of who else is on the train with you, and if you're sitting in a spot and there's somebody else who looks like they may need the seat more than you, then it's very polite to get up and make sure you've offered that seat at least 3 times before reassuming that. I think just being very polite and being mindful of others around you is something that Japan very big on.
Yeah.
And to add to that, definitely if you're having a conversation, sometimes when you're there with your buddies and you want to have a conversation, because of course you do, you haven't seen them in a while, it's very tempting to have a conversation, but we didn't have so many trains in Kagoshima, it's very far south, but we had buses. And we were on the bus, and a bunch of us assistant language teachers got together having a conversation, and then the bus driver shushed us. Now the bus driver shushes elementary school kids, not grown adults, so we were all quite embarrassed, but it's a bit of a laugh, but at the same time, yeah. Same with the carriage thing. If you do oh no, you're a bit of the comedic relief, and then it's all good. They're not gonna call the police and you're out there the next time, right? But my main one would also be just checking where you've got your luggage. In New Zealand, quite often you'll see people putting their bags on the seat next to you, but it's best to just sort of like have it on in front of you and just be aware of where your bags are. Definitely the first time I went with a teacher. And the teacher just had on his back, and he was just heading to the Japanese fella in front of me with his bag, and he had no idea, but I could see the person's expressions. He was very surprised to be hit with the bag midway through. But yeah, it's the whole like on the trains. It is quite spooky the first time, but yeah, and also your headphones, if very noisy headphones.
Oh, you got something to add? Excellent.
You're saying everybody's on headphones?
Well, I mean, like sometimes the headphones can be like quite noisy, especially if no one is speaking. So then if you hear like doof, 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 doof from the person next to you, then they're not going to say anything. But
You'll get some eye rolls.
you'll get the idea. Yeah.
You won't get obvious stares, but you'll see people like pretending as if they haven't just looked at you, trying to empathize. I mean, I can hear everything. Yeah. Just with the phone calls one, like the general rule, the blanket rule, you'll see it on the trains as well, is no phone calls. Sometimes though, the salaryman, your worker, your bloke in just a suit and tie on the train, sometimes he has to take a call. What does he do though? He goes into the corner of the train carriage and he'll like huddle in the corner, like almost like bowing and like covering his mouth with his hand, like, oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, I'm just on the train at the moment. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like watching the people around him, just trying to make himself as small as possible. I did have to do that one time, I've got to say. How did I feel? Oh God. Well, I was bowing a lot on the phone, and I wasn't sure if it was to the person on the phone or to the people in the carriage. It is both. Yeah.
You usually have to get off the train if you have to make a call.
You get off at the next stop.
Yeah.
It's okay if it comes every 3 minutes, though.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's not like New Zealand. You get off the train, there's an hour you have to wait. It's like the next minute or two. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess for me, I had like an experience with my friend where, like, with the backpacks, like keeping them sort of on the front of your body instead of on your back, so you're not like hitting people. I remember I was with one of my friends in Osaka, and we got on like a pretty packed train. So of course I had my bag in front, but there was someone else who had their bag like on their back, and my friend sort of looked at that. My Japanese friend, she looked at that. And she looked at me, and she looked at that, and she looked at me. She sort of gave me a nod, and then was sort of like, and then I looked at what she was looking at, and I was like, you're, and she was like, you're doing the right thing, And I was like, okay. So it's just sort of, I think people appreciate it when you're doing, the thing that sort of is more mindful of other people's space, I guess. Yeah, it's just like a nice thing.
Speaking of being mindful, is there anything in particular you think newcomers should especially be mindful of? Other than obviously what we've already discussed.
Noise and smell as well. And eating on a train or on a bus. People can't escape you. So I'm loud enough. Don't worry. Close proximity. Just remember, you're in very close proximity to other people. So just going, well, would you want to be smelling someone's, an egg sandwich or something on the bus? Probably not.
Only exception, Shinkansen.
Oh yeah, Shinkansen, as soon as that thing goes off, you hear everyone's opening a beer. Shinkansen is the bullet train, sorry. So you hear the beers opening, and then you hear all the packaging for food and stuff opening. So it's okay then, but not too smelly. Just remember, there's other people, reasonably close by.
In Japanese, there is a word known as smell harassment, which is to bother other people with the smell of your food, the smell of your perfume. People are very sensitive about it. Yeah.
No links Africa.
No links Africa.
It's annoying everywhere.
Yeah.
at this point, is everyone okay sharing the conversation?
Yes.
Not so much?
Louder?
Louder.
Okay.
Cool. And do you guys have any tips for busy stations or rush hours?
Get in lines.
Get
Yeah,
Get in the line.
Yeah.
Get in the right line for the right train. Get in the right line for the escalator, for the lift, whether you're taking the stairs.
Stand on the right side.
It's
different depending on where you are.
Yeah.
I think in Tokyo they're more. Is it on? And so like oftentimes like when people are very busy, they'll want to sort of like run to get to the train. So if you're not in a rush, then you can. What people will do is they'll sort of stand on one side, like on an escalator or on a footpath even, and that sort of gives people space to sort of run by. And it's for Tokyo, it's like on the right.
Tokyo, it's on the left.
Oh, Tokyo's on the left.
Osaka.
And then in Osaka, it's on the right. Just sort of like, honestly, I think it's a good tip while you're there. Just sort of look at where other people are walking. If everyone's walking in one direction on that side, then you go, okay, I'll walk there as well. Because if you're sort of in the middle or like, sort of walking about, then people are going to try and get past you and they're not going to be able to. So that is just like another way you can be mindful, I guess.
Yeah, when in Rome, do as the Romans do.
Yeah. Oh, and if it's like super busy and it's like if you're at a really busy station, then honestly just sometimes waiting for the next train if it's too busy. Since they come so often, it's like, you wait like 2 minutes to get on like an empty train and then you can sit down and it's really comfortable instead of having to like, squeeze in and stress yourself out. I think it's really worth it to sometimes just wait.
Did you guys notice in the bigger cities, sometimes they have like an indication of how busy the next train is going to be? Yeah.
Yeah.
I lived in the countryside, so I'm genuinely asking.
Tokyo was nice for that.
Yeah.
Lots of information on the signs. Anything you want.
Any information about, Google Maps will even tell you which carriage to board in order to get on and off the fastest.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the door. It'll tell you which carriages are air conditioned, which ones are not. That one was
air conditioned too.
yeah, it was amazing. There will be information, there will be signs. If I can talk about the signs, I guess. Like in Tokyo, there will always be information for you in English, almost always. Like there are subtitles in Tokyo. The train stations are very well signposted. Things, if you can't do something, if you know a little bit of Japanese, it's well worth learning a few of the kanji for like, tachiiri, kinshi, like a few of those very specific kanji,
What does that word mean?
which means don't enter or like don't go here. But honestly, everything is so well signposted that most of the time just follow the signs and you will be okay. Follow what other people are doing, you will be okay. That is just the Japanese rule, eh?
Just do what everyone else does.
Yeah.
Excellent. If you guys are ready, we can shift to the next point. Yeah, so let's start to talk about eating out and shopping. Cool. These are areas where small habits can make a big difference. Do you guys have anything you'd like to start off with, or shall I lead us with a question? Or?
Do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I can go. So, what's something you wish someone had told you before your first meal out in Japan?
Sorry. This is actually, I probably don't need this. I'm pretty loud. You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
Great, cool.
What
So,
was the question?
one of my first meals was quite a formal sort of dinner. It wasn't the first meal, but it was pretty early on. You go to the Board of Education, and then you have an enkai, which is like a staff party. You might not be in that situation, but if you are, there's a thing called a kampai beer. Don't drink the beer before everyone does the kampai. Otherwise, you're the one person at the table drinking, and everyone's looking at you like, we want to drink as well. But we've got self-control. Next time I didn't make that mistake, but definitely I drank my kampai beer before the others came out, and then kampai beer is cheers, like the toast, but it's quite it's quite an unusual way to start the party. But I wish I would have known that before.
What did you think about the little dish you were served in izakaya or a bar? You think it's service, but you actually have to pay for that little dish, right?
Yeah, that's it's quite interesting. I guess it's like what you're getting is not necessarily always very clear up front. And I think I guess for me, again, similar to Andreas, like some of my first experiences eating out would have been going with with staff to like a staff party or something like that, and then you get taken down some like blind alleyway. You're like, I have no idea where I am anymore, and then you just end up in this bar, and there's this old like mama san, just like this old woman, and she's like the one who's like running the place, and then all of a sudden it's just like you have this and this and this, and then it's like you get to 2 hours later and it's like, oh, you have to pay however much it is. You'd be like, for what now? But yeah, I guess again that's something where it's like go with the flow a little bit. But yeah, it's like maybe try if you can try and like clarify what it is you're getting up front, but don't be surprised if it's like a little bit mysterious at least to start with.
Honestly, I tried to budget a lot, so I think going to restaurants was the one thing that I kind of didn't do a lot, but something that I found was really useful for me to try and do was oftentimes you'd go somewhere and you'd be plated this food that you've never eaten before, and you're kind of like, how do I eat this? So it can kind of help to just like, usually you'll be with friends, and just like watch what they do, and then if they just see how they eat it, and then just like copy them, kind of, like it's really useful. I found that to be just really useful in my experience. Again, it's again sort of just a when in Rome, do as the Romans do kind of thing. It's really useful.
Absolutely useful. I found myself all the time going, how do I eat this? A question I've never asked myself before, how do I eat this? And some, like even the very first lunch I had, we usually combine everything, but at the school, okay, why is everything separated into all these dishes? Do I mix them together? What do I do here? So then, very much just watching the kids eating. It's like, oh, I see. I know how to eat this now, which is, But yes, watch what other people do. Follow that. Yeah.
I think I had the experience with they'll give you little hand towels, like oshibori, I think. And I remember seeing that for the first time and being like, what do I do with this? And then I just sort of left it there. And waited for my friends to pick it up and do stuff with it. I'm like, oh, you use it to wipe your hands. Oh, okay, I'll do that. It was sort of like, it was just sit and watch. It was so useful for me.
Just for hands,
not
for face.
Unless you're a salaryman.
Unless
you're a salaryman.
Or in Kagoshima. Kagoshima's quite hot, I think.
Really?
Often use that. But not the table. Don't wipe the table.
So when did you wipe your hands? Is it soapy?
No, it's not.
No,
So
just water.
It's just
Water.
it's just water, and the hot water. And
It's a warm, damp towel.
Yeah.
How could you get rid of the germs in your hand?
Hopefully your hands are already relatively clean.
Just for warming up your hands.
Yeah, and it can be cool in the summer as well.
You ask a good question, though. You ask a very good question.
It just sort of feels nice to use. You're like, a towel,
Andreas, what you were saying about the difference between, you go out for all these shared meals, and then you've got the kyushoku, which is like your kind of standard school meal, which is the more separate meals and everything. On the shared meals, on the topic of shared meals, I have to say one of the maybe first dining mistakes that it wasn't just me. It was everybody in the dorm, if I may take it off myself a bit. But we went to a local bar, Japanese bar in Izakaya, and it was a mixture of international students from our dorm and Japanese students. And of course, we're looking at the menu going, okay, it's in Japanese, so everyone's just kind of trying things, we're getting recommendations, we're just, there's a lot of things on the table. Not everybody's eating everything, but it's one dish to be shared amongst people and passed around. It's not for one person. The karaage was very tasty. But, that's for more than one person. And you figure that out quite quickly when people go, did you not eat breakfast? And then, and then splitting the bill afterwards. And you don't split the bill at the register, guys. They very much do not do that. You pay the bill. If you have cash, then oftentimes, actually this is where the cash comes in very, very useful, I have to say. I'm sure you've all kind of heard, I'm just going to talk about the cash thing for like 2 seconds. You've all heard about how cash is king in Japan. It is very, very, very useful if you need to split a bill and you can't whip out your card and go, oh, I'll do a 50-50 on the FBOS machine. If you have a bill that is maybe 4,000 yen and you have 2,000 yen notes, you can give your half and then someone else can put down their half and then you hand it as one to the register. And it took a little while to figure that one out, which seems like such a simple thing, but yeah, we had a lot of learning.
Yeah, I guess like I would just emphasize. I guess cash, like you say, cash is king. Like carrying cash is important. It's like felt super unnatural for me. I mean, my experience was a little bit longer ago, but when I was there, it would be like you couldn't access the ATMs during weekends, and so you would go to the ATM on a Friday afternoon and you would take out. It would be like $300 worth of cash for like your weekend. You just walking around with that amount of cash is just completely like normal in Japan, and it's quite a different feeling compared to what you might do in New Zealand. But as Jay says, when it comes to splitting a bill, if everybody's got cash, it makes it way easier. I guess one other thing in terms of just the dining, it's a little bit like it's when you're again at a maybe at a gathering with like friends, is very normal to do not pour your own drink. So ideally you're, keeping an eye on other people's, and again, the polite thing to do is to pour theirs, and they will hopefully reciprocate. If the people you're with respect you enough. But yeah, again, that's just something, it's like rather than necessarily looking after yourself first, like look after others first and then yourself after that. Yeah, that would be one other thing from me.
Yeah, that leads quite nicely into my next question, which is what do you think is something that tends to surprise visitors, like seating, noise level, or as you mentioned, handling cash?
I think something that surprises people is actually, it's kind of like the opposite. Something that we find rude in New Zealand but wouldn't be rude over there. And that's to get the attention of the waiter or waitress, because this is something that freaks most people out. You have to scream "sumimasen" at them. Or they might have a button if you're lucky, right? But if you're just closing your menu, you shouldn't expect a waiter or waitress to come along at any point. You have to go "sumimasen," and then they'll be like, "Oh," and you'll hear a response. Even if they're in the kitchen somewhere, you'll hear the response. So I would say practice that before you go, because it is right. It's right.
It's alright if I take them off.
Here we go.
The sumimasen is your catch-all everything phrase. You bump into someone, sumimasen, you need someone, you need something at the supermarket, you're at a store, you want to buy something, sumimasen, and then lead with your question or what you're asking. It's got to be one of the most useful things.
What's that mean?
Sumimasen,
Excuse me. Yeah. Excuse me.
Excuse me.
It can be sorry. It can be thank you. It can be everything.
The perfect word. Right. I've just remembered one thing that we're quite used to as Kiwis in stores, actually, is chatting to the employee. If someone says hi, you'd be like, oh, hi, how's the weather going, blah, blah, blah. There's a specific phrase in Japanese convenience stores that you will hear if you go into any convenience store, especially. It is "irasshaimasen," which means like welcome to the store, like we know you're here. You do not need to reply to the "irasshaimasen." You do not need to go, oh, hi, how's it going? Hi, genki desu ka? Are you doing well today? Konnichiwa, hello. It weirds them out a little bit because
some of these employees, they're the only one in their store. They're going, irashaimase, and then they're in the back, they're shuffling food, they're running around, they're heating something up or dealing with another customer even. They are not saying hello directly to you to ask for a conversation. It took a while to break that habit. Actually, one of my friends still says it under his breath. He'll go, oh, hi.
Did you guys have any mishaps, I suppose, with English menus in Japan? I did, so don't worry.
There was one during the summer. I went to like a barbecue place, and they had a sign that said free drink, and I didn't take any drinks, but I did have to ask them because my friends were like, oh my gosh, they have free drinks here. Let's go get some free drinks, and I was like, oh okay, I'll I wanted to buy an ice cream, so I was going up to the sort of counter anyway. So I thought I'd ask about it. I'd be like, it says free drinks. Does that mean like we can have them for free? Like are these like free drinks? Is it like English free? And they were like, no, you have to pay for them. And we're like, oh okay, So sometimes just like even if they use like an English word, it might they might have the meaning a bit differently. It might just mean like here are the drinks that you can have, and maybe you can have like free refills, but you have to pay for them first, kind of, or pay for the first one, or something like that. That was
So did you find out why they say free?
No, I didn't find out. I thought it was. I was just like, okay. I
The
sort of
word
thought
of
that,
free means a lot, doesn't it? Free tax,
Yeah.
free smoking.
Freely accessible.
Maybe.
Confusing us.
I know in New Zealand we don't have this problem because we don't do this, but I did find that from some other countries going to Japan, they have more of a barter sort of culture. Don't barter for prices in Japan. It's not a culture that they have at all.
No.
If you're expecting that, it might. You'll see some. I've seen people become more angry because of trying to barter than I should have.
They don't try rip-off either. They don't try rip-off either.
No.
Therefore-
There's no
therefore
ripping off
say-
in Japan.
Yeah.
Who wants to talk about the taxes on the classes?
Yeah, so when you go to when you buy anything, it'll like have the price written on it, but then there'll be like a consumption tax or a food tax on it. And so like in New Zealand we have the GST included, but you might like pick something up and then go to buy it in Japan, and then you get to the register and it's like a couple hundred yen more than what it said, and you're like, oh, what the, why? They'll usually put like the cheaper looking price in bigger numbers, and then the with tax, which will cost more, it'll be like in smaller things. So that could be a little bit confusing. Just something to watch out for.
Do they still have plastic shaped food on the window before?
Yeah. They do. It's just sort of like shows you what it looks like before you order it. So if if you're kind of like, oh, I'm hungry, but I don't know what I want to eat, oftentimes you can just like sort of walk through and look in the windows and be like, oh, well, they have that, and it sort of looks like that, and you can sort of decide based on, not by picture, but by the model. kind of
Does it really look like that?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It's very impressive.
Sometimes.
That's good. Yeah, she
I
was
found
very
it was
like.
always very accurate.
I don't
That's
know.
good.
Maybe in Kagoshima.
In the island life.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like a lot of them were just, like the template model. They just get the template. Sushi's supposed to look like that. Theirs doesn't, but it's supposed to look like that. Yeah. Well, you guys got a good experience with the menu then.
Do you have some not so good?
Well, see, a lot of the menus that I got in Kagoshima, because there's nowhere near as much English. There's still English and it's getting much, much better, but I was definitely at one, different menu items in this Japanese menu with the English translated, and they all translated to the exact same English. I thought that's kind of strange. How are these three different things, but they're all the exact same thing in English? So it was kind of like, it was like tonkatsu, but you have different kinds of tonkatsu. You got like hire or ros. So you got different kinds of meat in that. And all it said was like pork cutlet. All of them were just pork cutlets, which pork cutlet itself also doesn't really describe a whole meal. So that's where, luckily I knew people that could explain, okay, this is actually what it is. Or if they got pictures, that's good. But if you don't know what something is, don't panic. You can also ask them, and they might even be able to point to other people who have got it, or to a picture. Or one of the first places I went to had a Japanese menu, me panicking, and then they turned it over and it was English. So I spent 10 minutes panicking, and then they gave it.
If I may though, on the subject of English menus, I went to an izakaya where I lived, and they just automatically give you the English menu if you're a foreigner. And I was looking through, and one of their desserts was fondly named boob ice. And then when I looked at the Japanese, there was a pretty accurate translation, actually. It was just like a round shaped ice cream with kind of like a knob on it, a little bit like this. But yeah, it was pretty accurate, actually.
Oh my goodness.
Boob ice, yeah.
Not quite as funny as that, but there are quite a lot of names. There are quite a lot of names for dishes in Japanese that aren't. They translate into something in English like, what is it? Mother and child rice bowl. Oyakodon, which is chicken and egg on a bowl of rice. But you see the translation for the first time, and you go,
Have fun.
You try it. This store did not have the images in the front for you to see what the meal actually looks like. So it was a lot of fun. It was really good. Would recommend. One of my favorite dishes.
If you guys are ready, we can move on to the next section. Wonderful. So the last section is about things that don't fit neatly into trains or dining. So it's everyday interactions, public spaces, and general awareness. So I guess to get us started, what's something you learned about social expectations while out and about in Japan?
I mean, so I'm happy to talk about the stop to eat point that's on the slide. Yeah, I found out about this when, so in my work, I would work at junior high schools or elementary schools, and then on Friday afternoons there was I went back to the Board of Education where I was employed, and this was standard thing, go and like check in with my boss to talk about how things were doing or whatever. And this particular Friday afternoon, school was maybe a little bit far away from the Board of Education, and so I didn't have kyushoku, I didn't have school lunch at school before I left. And so then I made my way back to the Board of Education, and on the way I stopped at a konbini and I picked up some onigiri and just walked along on my merry way, and I got back to the Board of Education, and my boss was like, "What did you have for lunch?" And I was like, well, I just, dropped by the konbini, and then I just picked up an onigiri, and I just walked along, and then I got here. He was like, you can't do that. It's like, walking and eating is like not a thing that you do in Japan. It's, I guess the cultural expectations around it, fairly, well, I didn't know, but it became very clear to me after that. And then, so often, I guess, in terms of like places where you can get food, there will often be benches or something like outside where it's like designed for you to like sit down and like eat and actually like stop and like you won't notice anybody, walking along, like munching away at whatever. Very, very different to what I would do here, where I often eat on the go, but very much don't do it in Japan.
When you go to movies, are you allowed to eat chips or popcorn and watch movies?
That's a good question. I can't remember.
They sell popcorn.
Yeah, they definitely sell popcorn. It's like, I'm trying to remember my one or two like movie experiences in Japan. Like I think it was like maybe compared to New Zealand film going, it was a little bit like louder, a little bit more rowdy, I think. Surprisingly, when like if you compare it to like, I was saying earlier how trains are really quiet, etc., etc. You think the cinema would be like respect the cinema, but maybe not so much. It's definitely like similar to I guess what you would expect in New Zealand, where you can get all your foods and drinks to go along with the movie as well.
I think the difference is entertainment place or public place. Like film theater is entertainment place, so you're allowed to have a little bit that kind of thing. Watching small, that particular area, people having something to snack and so forth. That's a define of the public and the...
Well, also you are allowed to eat on the street if you are in a touristy place like Asakusa. but very limited. So see what other people do.
Yeah, and probably the other notable exception would be if you're at a festival, if you're at an omatsuri, you can eat and walk all you like, pretty much. You'll see people doing whatever if you want to know what you can do, just look for other people. If you see people walking around eating their yakisoba, like fried noodles and everything, you can do it too. Yeah. Also, there is a practical reason for not walking while you're eating usually, and that is that once you've finished eating, you're left with the rubbish. And there are very, 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 very few public bins in Japan. So, especially if you bought food at a food store or at a convenience store, there will be a bin at the food store or at the convenience store that you can use. Otherwise, you have to put the rubbish in your bag, which, depending on what you've eaten, might not work out very well. So, yeah, there is kind of a practical reason to it as well. But yeah, I did get caught out with the eating and walking.
So yeah, keep in mind where your nearest bin is and what you're eating. I guess is the message there.
I had 2 marked on my Google Maps. I was like, public bin number 1, public bin number 2.
Yeah.
It's also a lot less clear, the delineation between the types of rubbish. Did you find?
Yeah.
Recycle bin.
I mean,
Burnable versus
Yeah.
not burnable, yeah.
I think Japan was the first place that I heard about a PET bottle.
That's
It's like, what is a PET bottle? It makes sense now. It's like, I guess, petroleum that was used to make it. But at the time, I didn't know what a PET bottle is. But luckily, they have symbols there mostly. But just be very aware when you're putting rubbish in there, and also like burnable rubbish. I don't really distinguish something as being burnable or not.
Everything is burnable if you try hard enough.
Exactly. So there were some strange definitions. If in doubt, put it in the bigger can that has more stuff in it, because you don't want to mess up all the different recycling bins. But yeah, that was definitely something that it took a bit. Or ask like which one, which this one. I did a lot of gesturing when I got there, like pointing at something, like, and then people would get the picture sort of thing. But yeah, trash. Yeah.
I think they usually have bins in train stations as well, and that's also separated and stuff. Something that I found was useful was just keeping like a plastic bag in my bag, so that if I had some rubbish that I wanted to throw away, but I could then just like wrap it in my little plastic bag and then put it in my bag, and I'd feel a little safer knowing that like my garbage is contained in something and I can deal with it later, like when I got home kind of thing. So it's just like a tip if I was to recommend something.
Did you ask me?
Just one more thing. Is anyone interested in going and like living in Japan? Yeah? Yeah. So I was at a dorm for 10 months, and it was a catered dorm, so a lot of things were done for us, luckily, but we had our own rooms, and we had to sort our own rubbish. And there was the chart of a lifetime on the side of the wall, with all of the different, with the plastic bottles, with your aluminium caps, with your metal bottles. They had one for umbrellas. They had one for, this was my dorm being quite particular, but they would chase you up if you got it wrong. They absolutely would.
It's not just your dorm.
It's not just my dorm. But metal lids, plastic lids, like, it's worth getting familiar with the recycling if that is something that you're interested in doing. Yeah. Not the recycling, the living.
Or if you're interested in recycling.
Yeah, that too.
I feel like we've spent a long time saying here's what to do and here's what not to do, but please rest assured it's really not as rigid or as strict as it seems, and you're not Japanese. You will not be expected to know what Japanese people know and learn from birth, right? So ultimately, the goal is to not get too caught up in the tiny details, as every place has its own unwritten rules. I'm sure you can even think of a few for here in New Zealand, right? So long as you stay respectful, stay curious, and just enjoy yourself, you'll be fine. Cultural rules can change from place to place, so it's normal to encounter surprises or make small mistakes when you go abroad. Everyone is learning as you go. And speaking of making mistakes, I'd love to ask our Japanese staff, did anything about New Zealand surprise you? Or were there any social faux pas you might have made? Because it's always interesting to know what catches people out. I can start if you'd like with Mayumi-san. Yeah. So one of our staff, who's unfortunately not here today, told me about how she was invited to, I believe it was a barbecue, and told to bring a plate. And she took, as you may imagine, a plate. She thought you just had to take your own plate to put your food on. She very quickly learned that is not what that means.
Double meaning, isn't it?
Yeah.
I believe I didn't really experience a mistake here in New Zealand because I found the culture here is quite similar to Japan. Like, people here is very quiet in elevator. And what else? Let me think of the difference here. What I thought is good about here is the thank you driver.
Yes.
Whenever you guys get off the bus, you say thank you driver. We don't have that culture in Japan, and I think that's really kind, and we should do that too. And that's one thing I like. And the other thing I like is the fruit in the supermarket. Kids always get hungry, but in Japanese supermarket, you're not allowed to eat. So I thought it's really kind to prepare a food, to prepare fresh fruit for kids to feed.
But you can eat a little bit food at the depachka.
Depachka.
Department on the ground.
That's for sample.
Promotion,
Yeah.
though. You have to buy it.
To
We have that too.
attract you to buy.
Yeah. What about other staff, like Yoshi?
Yeah, I remember the first week I started living in a Waystone area, and my old Kiwi friend visited us, and great to see you again, you know. Then after the dinner, she left, but without shoes. and then she just went, walked down the steps, which is the Waystone is quite hilly, 100 steps, and I was chasing her and then holding shoes. Hey, you don't wear, the shoes, so this is quite different.
True. We don't see
Yeah, I was
barefoot
quite
person on the
surprised. Literally she forgot wearing shoes. So I was like, wow, this is a Kiwi culture.
Do either of you have anything to add? No? Satoko-san?
Oh, it's not about me, but my husband. He went to Japan for the first time, and then it's similar to Jay's story about irashaimase. So he entered into a department store the first thing in the morning, so very early in the morning, and then the staff there are welcoming the customers, like irashaimase, and then my husband was doing the same to everyone. Another step. So I couldn't stop him, but yeah, he was polite, but my husband is
Yeah, so please know you are not alone. Plenty of people go to Japan and they make silly mistakes, and Japanese people come here and they make the opposite silly mistakes, but silly mistakes. So now we'd like to open the floor to questions. So if you have any questions about etiquette, culture shock, or anything we haven't touched on, please feel free to ask and we'll do our best to answer. Please do keep in mind that obviously much like us with New Zealand culture, we don't really know the why behind things, so it might be a little bit difficult for Japanese staff to explain the reason behind any culture. So let's maybe not get too in-depth, too cerebral about the reasoning behind it. So if anybody has any questions, yeah.
If you're travelling with toddlers, like 2 to 5 year olds, on a train and they're eating on the street, because you know we would pack something for the kids in case they do get hungry, or is that fall into the same category as adults?
Who do you think?
like the quietness on the train? Or I'm thinking of my granddaughter who's really loud.
I guess it's a yes and no. Is it on the 5-year-old sort of end of it, or is it on the 2-year-old sort of end of it? I know 5-year-olds in Japan are pretty well trained, but 2-year-olds are kind of like in their own league, so they kind of do what they want to do. But I guess a good balance in between. I mean, you can't.
So
control
I'm
kids,
thinking
but,
if she's crying, do we hop off the train?
No, I don't think so. Like there are guidelines and there are rules, but there is like if something is just plain like unreasonable, I would say like that if you're a parent, there's an understanding. Children are children.
So people are understanding. They're like, oh, they're just they're being a bit noisy. They're with family. It's all right. Sort of thing. People are understanding. And I think with like eating as well, like people say don't like walk with eating, but a lot of the time you can sort of like, if you have something, you can just sort of like stop walking and like kind of just stand under a building or just somewhere and then just eat, and then it's not really a problem. Or like sit down at like a bench or something and just take your rubbish with you, and people aren't really they're not gonna scowl at you or anything. They're gonna they're just like, oh, it's nice having lunch.
As long as the kid isn't, I don't know, like doing a backflip on the person, and you're like, oh yeah, no, that's all good. Just harass the next person. But I mean, which I'm sure is not the case. But they're usually very, like. I've made mistakes and whatnot, and it's always very forgiving. If your attitude is like, oh, I'm really sorry, sort of thing, or like, oh, I didn't realize, I haven't had any problems, and so you'll be fine. You'll be very understanding.
Do you mind doing previous one? I didn't start watching, looking on the wall until much.
This one?
Yes.
Were there any other questions?
Yes. Yeah. So when you were talking about splitting the bill with friends when you're going out at a dinner or something, you said that usually it's a good thing to have some cash in you to split it faster. Are bank transfers like between different banks or the same bank in Japan instant, or something that you need to wait like in New Zealand with different banks? Because I'm from Argentina. They are instant.
That's an interesting one. That's a very interesting one, because back in my day, bank transfer was pretty much the most painful thing I experienced in Japan, and I went to the dentist a few times as well. So, they didn't have online banking when I went there, or at least not in Kagoshima. So it was quite tough. So it was very much like bring cash, but maybe someone who's been there more recently.
It depends on where they're from, I have to say. For example, my friends that I met over there who were from Europe had Revolut. And Revolut is a kind of one of those digital banking apps that's really easier to get, and you can transfer currencies very easily. You can send payments. It's I think it's like similar to PayPal, which I've never used, but that's one option depending on who your mates are. With Japanese friends though, no, I've got to say it's not really a thing. Digital banking in Japan is a little bit more difficult, especially if you're an international student. I have to say, it's not an ASB bank transfer to BNZ.
Digital banking is really only just kind of starting to even take off in Japan. So like the idea of transferring between accounts is still very much not really on people's minds.
So cash bank.
Yeah, if you can, try and have cash prepared. Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you're gonna get quite often when you go to the ATM and you get cash or whatever, it'll be essentially their version of a $100 bill. One thing I recommend is going to convenience stores or something like that. And even if you buy something cheap, just to break that bill into smaller bills. Because if you go to a restaurant and you bought $10 worth of something and you give them a $100 bill, that can be a bit more it can be that situation. So I know for me, I usually had a range of bills.
And we had a question over here.
Good evening. Just a question for the panel, if I may. Have any of you experienced being on the smoking carriage on the Shinkansen? And would you like to share any thoughts on that?
Smoking carriage anymore.
I don't think there is.
There's a smoking area in between carriages. There's a smoking area. There's a smoking area between carriages. So I know that is definitely a thing. But I think on Shinkansen, on the bullet trains, I can't remember there being a smoking tram anymore. But the smoking area is quite nice. It's not like you're out on the very end like side of this train, like falling off the train. It is like nicely done up with like the vending machines, and that sort of stuff. So it's usually.
The reason I asked was I'd been on one before. There was only a seat available on the smoking carriage,
Right.
and I just thought it was a normal, but people would smoke cigarettes occasionally. But it was actually a chain smoking.
Oh yeah.
And, I had to leave after about 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah. So there's not so much of that anymore. They're doing that in a special like a little area in between carriages.
Does the one in between carriages have those like fans that suck the smoke, or is it not like that?
I think it's usually like a closed off area. It's like you open it and you go into like a separate room, like to the side. So yeah.
It has cleaner inside, air.
Yeah.
Like the ones in bars.
Like sometimes in bars or public areas, you will find smoking rooms, and they've got like an air vent in the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ones in the stations are all really loud because they're like sucking them. Yeah. Were there any other questions?
So everybody, you all see like everybody carry lots of cash. So I believe very safe, isn't it? So you can carry lots of cash, no problem.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid like any other country. I had one mate who went walking around a bit of a party area, and he was flashing his money, and we were like, put it away. That's not smart no matter where you go. But Japan is so incredibly safe. Like, if you see things left on tables, wallets, bags, don't think that people have necessarily like just lost them. Like, people have just probably gone to the loo and then left their net worth on a table, and then they come back, and it's pretty normal.
I think the idea with the cash, because basically Japan is very safe, and if you're using a card and cash, definitely if you use a cash, you save more money. If you're using a card, you tend to spend much more money. So therefore, people like it in the using the cash. Because once you use the cash from the wallet, and you want to buy something, but maybe you stop it. Well, each time you pay it, you know how much you spend it. But if you're using a card, you easily spend much more than you want it. So people tend to like it in the cash, and anyway, they are safe.
Human nature.
Like, with just how safe it is, a lot of people will leave wallets like on the tables and then come back to like go to the bathroom and then come back, and it's no one's stolen anything and it's all right. I had like a rent payment very soon after I arrived, and I had to do that in cash, so I transferred a lot of money and I had that in cash, and I put it in like a fanny pack and I hid that around my stomach. And then, when my Japanese friends who were going to help me with the rent payment, they saw me, how I was keeping my money safe, like, under my clothes. They, saw that and then they laughed at me. They were like, you don't have to do that. It's, safe. No one's going to steal it. Why would they steal it? I'm like, well, this is a lot of money,
If you forget your wallet on the train, someone will probably pick it up and run after you to give it back.
Really?
Like, that's more likely than someone to steal your wallet.
Or drop it off at a korban.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a very, very good lost and found system in Japan. If you lose something, and you go find, they have police boxes, which are essentially mini police stations, pretty much designed to be able to easily access. You can go up, lodge a case, say, I lost my bag here at this time, and they, it's very, very, very common to find it again. I've dropped in wallets. I've had friends who dropped their wallets, and then they got their wallet back with money inside it, with their cards, with their ID fully inside it. So if you lose something, going to a korban, to one of these police boxes, is a very, very good idea. My teachers
It's not manned.
No.
It's not manned. You write it down.
There are people there, yeah.
Yes, no, sorry, yeah. There's a police officer there, they can walk you through it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But it's genuinely a very good option if you've lost something. Because the chances of it being returned
What if you left your nice jacket behind?
You go to the police box, you report it, and you hope someone picked it up.
Oh, really?
Okay. In that case, since it is 6:30, I'll close the night.
So thank you to our speakers for sharing your experiences, and thank you all for joining us today. We hope this has helped demystify some of Japan's unspoken rules and give you some more confidence as you prepare for your own time in Japan. If you'd like to stay in touch or learn more about the JET program or the MEXT scholarships or upcoming events, please feel free to talk with us afterwards.
Thank you. Thank you.